Today we are going to discuss about the topic of gyromagnetic ratio. Which topic? Gyromagnetic ratio. So first we will see how can we define gyromagnetic ratio. Gyromagnetic ratio. So the gyromagnetic ratio we are saying here. So that means it is a ratio of two physical quantities. It is a ratio of two physical quantities. So that the gyromagnetic ratio is nothing but the ratio of magnetic momentum to the ratio of magnetic momentum to the angular momentum of a charged particle, which is revolving in the circular path, So what is the definition of the gyromagnetic ratio? The gyromagnetic ratio is defined as the ratio of magnetic momentum to the angular momentum of a charged particle, which is revolving in the circular path, So therefore gyromagnetic ratio is equal to, how can we write, the ratio of magnetic momentum to the angular momentum. The gyromagnetic ratio is defined as a what? It is the ratio of magnetic momentum to the angular momentum, where capital M is indicating what? Magnetic momentum of the charged particle, which is revolving in the circular path, and whereas capital L is indicating the angular momentum of the same charged particle, which is also revolving in the circular path. So in the last lecture, we derived one formula for the magnetic moment. In the last lecture, we derived the formula for the magnetic moment of a circular current carrying coil, So the magnetic momentum of the circular current carrying coil will be given by M is equal to I into A. M is equal to what? I into A. So here, for the given circular current carrying coil, I am assuming that it is consisting of only one number of turns. That's why I wrote magnetic momentum value is equal to M is equal to I into A. If it is consisting of n number of turns, we will write M is equal to N into I into A. So in this case, what I assumed that I consider only one loop will be there, so that the corresponding magnetic momentum is equal to I into A. So here, what is the I? I is indicating what? The amount of current that is flowing through the circular loop. But in the definition we told, gyromagnetic ratio is the ratio of magnetic moment to the angular momentum of the given charged particle. So we know well about the definition of the electrical current. Whenever the charged particle will be in the motion, it will be producing the electric current. So I am assuming that a charged particle having a charge small q, is revolving in the circular path of radius small r. Small r. So that how can we define the current? So current is equal to I is equal to Q by T. Current I is equal to what? Q by T. Q is the amount of the charge. T is indicating the time taken to complete one revolution. So time taken to complete one revolution is equal to distance covered by the charged particle by time t is equal to what? Distance covered by the charged particle by speed of the moving charged particle. Once again, how can we define the electrical current? I is equal to what? Q by T. Q is nothing but the magnitude of the charge. T is indicating what? Time taken to complete one revolution. So the time taken for one complete revolution is nothing but time period. So T is equal to what? 2 pi r by V. If you substitute this value here, you will get I is equal to QV by 2 pi r. So what value you will get? I is equal to what? QV by 2 pi r. So let it be equation number 3. Equation number 3. Now you substitute the equation number 3 in the equation number 2. So the magnetic momentum capital M is equal to what is the formula? I into A. So I value you got here QV by 2 pi r. QV by 2 pi r. And what is the capital A? Capital A is giving the area of the circular loop. Area of the circular loop. So area of the circular loop is equal to what? A is equal to pi r square. A is equal to what? Pi r square. So directly I am writing in the place of the capital A. In the place of the capital A, I am writing pi r square. Now, if you simplify, this pi will be getting cancelled. R also getting cancelled. So therefore, the final expression for the magnetic momentum of the charged particle, which is revolving in the circular path. Magnetic momentum of the charged particle which is revolving in the circular path is equal to Q V R by 2. Magnetic momentum of the charged particle which is revolving in the circular path is equal to what? Capital M is equal to what? QVR by 2. So I got one expression for the magnetic momentum of the charged particle which is revolving in the circular path. Now I need another physical quantity, that is nothing but angular momentum. So angular momentum of a given charged particle, which is revolving in the circular path is given by L is equal to, fundamental formula we know very well, L is equal to mvr, where m is indicating what? Mass of the given charged particle, v is indicating what? Speed of the charged particle, r is nothing but radius of the circular path. Now gyromagnetic ratio. So gyromagnetic ratio, what is the definition? Gyromagnetic ratio is nothing but the ratio of magnetic momentum to the angular momentum, of the given charged particle, So what you got the m value? QVR by 2 by mVr. VR will be getting cancelled. Therefore, gyromagnetic ratio value is equal to what? Q by 2m. For a given charged particle, it is having the definite charge value. It is having what? Definite charge value. It is also having a particular amount of the mass, so that gyromagnetic ratio will be always a constant value. Gyromagnetic ratio will be always a what? A constant value. So its expression is indicating what? Q by 2m. In this expression Q by 2m, Q representing the magnitude of the given charged particle, whereas small m is indicating what? The mass of the given charged particle. So this is the final expression for gyromagnetic ratio is what? Q by 2m. So this is simply about gyromagnetic ratio. Once again, how can we define the gyromagnetic ratio? In its name only ratio was there, so that it is nothing but the ratio of magnetic moment to the angular momentum of a given charged particle, which is revolving in the circular path. So in the last lecture we derived the expression for the magnetic momentum general formula, m is equal to Ia, keeping the term will be unity, and you know the general formula for the angular momentum, L is equal to mvr. After doing this simplification, you got the final expression, gyromagnetic ratio is equal to what? Q by 2m. And the next topic is magnetic dipole moment of the revolving electron. of the revolving electron. Just now only we told the magnetic momentum of the circular current carrying coil, the general expression which is given by m is equal to I into A. M is equal to what we know the formula I into A. So in the previous case we derive the magnetic momentum of the charged particle, the magnetic moment of charged particle. So which type of a charged particle we don't know. We derived the general expression for the magnetic momentum of the given charged particle. But in this case what they are asking, the magnetic momentum of the revolving electron which is revolving in the circular path. So first I wrote the general formula for the magnetic momentum of any one of the charged particle is given by m is equal to I into A. So if an electron will be moving in the circular path, so due to its motion, it is also producing some amount of the electrical current, What is the general formula for the magnetic moment? Magnetic moment is equal to I into A. So it is a product of amount of the current and area of the circular loop. So the general definition of the electrical current is, is equal to Q by T. If you consider here electron is a charged particle, so that current I becomes to what? In the place of Q we have to write E by T. Already we derive T is equal to 2 pi R by V. T is equal to, previously we wrote in the last application, T is equal to total distance covered by speed of the charged particle. Substitute these values here. I is equal to, you will get EV by 2 pi R. I is equal to what you got? EV by 2 pi R. So I is indicating what? The amount of the current which is produced by the moving electron. I is indicating what? The amount of the current which is produced by the moving electron in its circular path having the radius of smaller. Now I want to calculate magnetic momentum of the revolving electron. What is the general formula? I into A. So here I value is a what? EV by 2 pi R. I value is equal to what? EV by 2 pi R, and area value is equal to pi R square. Pi R square. So pi getting cancelled, R getting cancelled. So finally you got the magnetic momentum of the revolving electron is equal to capital M is equal to EVR by 2. So very important formula in the case of the numericals. So simply they are asking that find the magnetic momentum of the revolving electron in the first Bohr orbit. So M general formula is equal to what? E into V into R by 2. So E is indicating what? Magnitude of the electrical charge, you know the value. V is indicating what? Speed of the electron in the given orbit. R is indicating the radius of the particular orbit while it was revolving around the nucleus. Now one more definition is there, that is Bohr magnetron. So what is that? Bohr magnetron. So what is meant by Bohr magnetron? So you got the expression for the magnetic momentum of the charged particle, while it is revolving around the nucleus. The next definition is what? Bohr magnetron. So just now we derived the expression for magnetic momentum of the revolving electron. So what is the general formula for the magnetic momentum of the revolving electron? So capital M is equal to EVR by 2. Now how can we define Bohr magnetron? So the magnetic moment of revolving electron, the magnetic momentum of the revolving electron in the first orbit of hydrogen atom So the magnetic momentum of the revolving electron in the first orbit of hydrogen atom is called as Bohr magnetron. So how can we define the Bohr magnetron? It is nothing but the magnetic momentum of the revolving electron only. But when we have to consider its value, while the charged particle, while the electron will be revolving in the first orbit of the hydrogen atom, at that instant, whatever the magnetic momentum it have, that magnetic momentum only we are saying as Bohr magnetron. Once again, see the definition. How can we define the Bohr magnetron? The magnetic momentum of the revolving electron, in the first orbit of hydrogen atom, will be calling as Bohr magnetron. Next, it is denoted with the symbol of mu. It is denoted with what? Symbol mu. So therefore, the Bohr magnetron is nothing but what? Magnetic momentum of the revolving electron. The magnetic momentum of the revolving electron formula already we derived. So that I will write Bohr magnetron mu is equal to EVR by 2. Mu is equal to what? EVR by 2. Just we change the symbol only. It is also giving what? Magnetic momentum of the electron only. So, Bohr magnetron mu is equal to what? EVR by 2. But he told that, so it is revolving in which orbit? First orbit of the hydrogen atom. So, according to the Bohr postulates, Bohr second postulate. What is the Bohr second postulate? Angular momentum MVR is equal to NH by 2 pi. The angular momentum of the revolving electron, will be is equal to NH by 2 pi. Here, the electron was revolving in which orbit? First orbit. Therefore, from this equation, I will write MVR is equal to H by 2 pi. MVR is equal to what? H by 2 pi. From this, I took the value of VR. VR is equal to what? H by 2 pi m. Let it be equation number 1. This is the word equation number 2. Once again, see here, the Bohr magnetron value generally we wrote mu is equal to what? EVR by 2. But here, which postulate we applied here? Bohr second postulate. According to that, the angular momentum of the revolving electron will be is equal to n times of the h by 2 pi. But here the electron will be revolving in which orbit? First orbit. That's why its angular momentum value MVR is equal to what? H by 2 pi. From that I took the value of VR. VR is equal to what? H by 2 pi m. Now, from the equation 1 and 2, I will write mu is equal to E by 2. In the place of VR, can I write this value H by 2 pi m? So, E by 2 into H by 2 pi m. So, therefore, mu is equal to EH by 4 pi m. So, this is the general equation for Bohr magnetron. What is the final formula? Mu is equal to EH by 4 pi m. So, E is indicating what? Charge of the electron. So, that value already we know, 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. H value, Planck's constant, 6.6 into 10 power minus 34, and mass is indicating what? Mass of the electron. So, if you substitute all these values in this equation and you simplified, you got the value as mu is equal to 9.27 into 10 power minus 24. Mu value is equal to what? 9.27 into 10 power minus 24. It is also nothing but a magnetic moment. Its SI unit is equal to ampere meter square. So what is the value of Bohr magnetron is? Its value is nothing but 9.27 into 10 power minus 24 ampere meter square. So what is meant by Bohr magnetron? Bohr magnetron is nothing but the magnetic momentum of the electron only. But when you said this magnetic moment is nothing but a Bohr magnetron, means while the electron was revolving in the first orbit of the hydrogen atom, whatever the magnetic moment it have, that magnetic moment is nothing but Bohr magnetron. So its general formula is equal to mu is equal to EH by 4 pi m. If you substitute all these values, what you got, the final answer is mu is equal to 9.24 into 10 power 9.27 into 10 power minus 24 ampere meter square. This is about Bohr magnetron and magnetic momentum of the revolving electron in the circular orbit. Its general formula is equal to what? M is equal to EVR by 2. M is equal to what? EVR by 2. And the next topic is Ampere's circuital law. It's a very important topic, Ampere's circuital law. So what is the Ampere's circuital law and what it tells? Actually, this Ampere's circuital law is derived from the Biot-Savart law. So what we studied in the Biot-Savart law, if you take a straight current carrying conductor or uneven shaped current carrying conductor, so that a current carrying conductor will be producing the magnetic field. So the Biot-Savart law will be giving the relation between the electrical current as well as the magnetic field. So what Biot-Savart law will be tells, if you know the amount of the current which is flowing through the given current carrying conductor, by that current how much magnetic field will be developed, we have to calculate by using the Biot-Savart law. The same thing is also explained by the Ampere's circuital law. So Ampere's circuital law will be derived from the Biot-Savart law. It is also giving the relation between magnetic field intensity and electrical current. Ampere's circuital law also giving what? It is also giving the relation between the magnetic field and electrical current. So what is the definition of the Ampere's circuital law? Definition is very important. So the definition of the Ampere's circuital law is the line integral of the magnetic field, along any closed path in a given vacuum or air medium. The line integral of the given magnetic field over the given closed loop in the vacuum will be is equal to mu naught times the total current passing through the given closed loop. Once again, what is the definition of the Ampere's circuital law? The definition of the Ampere's circuital law is that the line integral of the magnetic field, over the given closed path in a given vacuum or air medium must be equal to mu naught times of the total current passing through the closed loop. So this is the definition of Ampere's circuital law. See here, I consider any one of the closed loop. So in this closed loop, we place different current carrying conductors. Whatever we consider the closed loop, inside the closed loop, we are placing multiple current carrying conductors. Some currents are passing into the plane of the paper and some of the currents are passing through the conductors are coming out of the plane of the paper. So for that, to explain the Ampere's circuital law, I consider one closed loop is considered. Closed loop is considered. So this closed loop is consisting of what we said. It is consisting of different current carrying conductors. This closed loop is consisting of what? Different current carrying conductors. Some of the currents are passing into the plane of the paper and some other currents are coming out of the plane of the paper. So the currents which are passing into the plane of the paper, already we told. So the cross mark is indicating what? The cross mark in the moving charges and magnetism is indicating into the plane of the paper, If you put the dot symbol, it is indicating what? Out of the plane of the paper, So whatever the closed loop is considered, in that closed loop, we are placing multiple current carrying conductors. In that current carrying conductors, in some of the currents, current is passing into the plane of the paper and the current is passing out of the plane of the paper. So I consider the first conductor. In that first conductor, current is passing into the plane of the paper. And second conductor is taken. In that second conductor, I am assuming that current is coming out of the plane of the paper. And third conductor is also considered. In that also I am assuming that current is coming out of the plane of the paper, and I4 current which is passing into the plane of the paper, and I5 current, it is also passing into the plane of the paper. That means in the given closed loop, I consider 5 different current carrying conductors. Inside the closed loop, how many current carrying conductors are considered? 5 different current carrying conductors are considered. Out of them, I1, I4, I5. In these 3 current carrying conductors, current is passing into the plane of the paper. Into the plane of the paper, whereas the currents in the I2, I3 will be coming out of the plane of the paper. That only we indicate the symbol. Cross mark is indicating that current is passing into the plane of the paper, as well as dot mark is indicating what? Current will be coming out of the plane of the paper. So that is, we assumed a closed loop and current carrying conductors. Now, according to the Ampere circuit law, what we told? The line integral of the magnetic field, will be is equal to mu naught times the net current. So here, in this closed loop, at a particular point, we consider a small element, dl bar on the periphery of the closed loop. Whatever the closed loop you assume, on that closed loop, at any one of the point, you consider a small element. At that small element, if you draw a tangent, that tangent will be giving the direction of the resultant magnetic field. So that tangent is giving what? Direction of the resultant magnetic field, which is produced by different currents which are present inside the closed loop. Once again, see here, this point we have to understood properly. So first, what we consider here? Closed loop is considered. In this closed loop, we are placing multiple current carrying conductors. Through the multiple current carrying conductors, different currents are passing. I indicate their directions also. If a current is passing into the plane of the paper, so that is indicating with the cross symbol, and if a current is coming out of the plane of the paper, that a current will be represented by the dot symbol. Now, for getting the line integral of the magnetic field, if you want to know the meaning of line integral of the magnetic field, what we have to consider? Just you consider the small element, small portion of the length dl bar on the periphery of the given closed loop. Where you consider that a small element dl bar, this point is very important. Where you consider the small element dl bar, at that point, if you draw a tangent, that a tangent will be giving the direction of the resultant magnetic field. Why we are saying here resultant magnetic field? If you consider one current carrying conductor, that will be producing the one magnetic field. Here multiple sources of magnetic fields are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sources are there. That's why we mentioned that resultant magnetic field. B bar is indicating what? Resultant magnetic field. So that a tangent will be giving the direction of the resultant magnetic field where you drawn the tangent at that given point. Now, so how can we write line integral of the given magnetic field? The line integral of the magnetic field value is nothing but integral b bar dot dl bar. Integral b bar dot dl bar is calling as line integral of the magnetic field. Once again, in the definition what you told, the line integral of the given magnetic field over a given closed path will be is equal to mu naught times the net current. So first we have to know the meaning of line integral of the magnetic field. You consider the magnetic field vector b bar and you consider the small element dl bar, so that the integral of b bar dot dl bar, you will be calling as line integral of the magnetic field. So from the definition of the Ampere circuit law, the line integral of the magnetic field over the closed loop will be is equal to mu naught times the net current. So this is the equation for the Ampere's circuit law. Once again, the line integral of the magnetic field over the given closed loop will be is equal to mu naught times the net current. So here one more word we used here. What is the meaning of net current? If you look at the diagram, some of the currents are flowing into the plane of the paper and some of the currents are coming out of the plane of the paper. So which type of currents we are treated as the positive current and which currents we are treating as negative current? So to know which current will be considered as a positive and which current will be considered as a negative, so one note we have to understood. That note is that first, where you draw the dl bar on the circular loop, this point is very important. So here, to know whether the given current will be taken as the positive or negative, what rule we have to follow means, first you draw the dl bar at any one of the point on the periphery of the given closed loop. So here I wrote dl bar will be indicated in this direction. Once you indicated the dl bar on the given closed loop, now you open your right hand, you stretch your right hand and place the fingers along the direction of the dl bar. So what we have to do? We have to open our right hand and place the fingers in the direction of the dl bar. After placing the fingers in the direction of the dl bar, in which direction you are going to integrate, in which direction you are going to move, in which direction you are going to calculate the resultant magnetic field. In that direction you must curl your fingers. Once again, first point is a what? Place your fingers, right hand fingers, in the direction of the DL bar. Place your right hand fingers in the direction of the DL bar and curl those fingers in which direction you are going to add all the elements of B bar dot DL bar, or in which direction you are going to integrate, Simply here the direction is like this, means we have to curl the fingers according to this diagram in the clockwise direction. Whatever the direction I assumed in the given diagram, this closing path will be taken in the clockwise direction. That means the curling fingers will be curled. In which direction? Clockwise direction. Now, if you understood the way of curling of the fingers, now we have to speak about the direction of the thumb. See, while you are closing the fingers, curling the fingers in the clockwise direction, if you observe the thumb, the thumb is acting into the plane of the paper. This point we have to understood. So, we have to place the fingers in the direction of the DL bar and curl them in the path where you follow to calculating the B bar dot DL bar. That means the fingers will be curled in the direction of the integration. So according to this diagram, according to whatever the diagram I took, according to this diagram, so I am curling the fingers in which direction? Clockwise direction. During the curling of the fingers in the clockwise direction, my thumb is acting into the plane of the paper. So that the currents which are acting into the plane of the paper, will be considered as a positive. So it is a positive or negative. How can we know? So according to the previous explanation, what we did, you have to stretch your right hand fingers in the direction of the DL bar and you curl them in the direction of the integration, and the direction of the thumb will be giving the positive direction. So according to this diagram, what I draw on the board, so the curling fingers will be takes place in the clockwise direction. During that time, the thumb is acting inwards, so that whatever the currents are existed in the inward direction, they will be taken as positive. And the currents which are acting out of the plane of the paper, they will be treated as negative. Now, if you look at the diagram, 5 different currents are there. So, I will write I net. I net is equal to the algebraic sum of the individual currents. So, see here, I1 is acting into the plane of the paper. So, I1 will be what? Positive. And if you coming to the I2 will be dot. Dot means what? Coming outwards. Coming outward means what? This current will be taken as a what? Negative. So, minus I2. And coming to the I3. I3 is also coming out of the plane of the paper. So, it is also equal to what? Minus I3. And if you look at I4 comma I5, they will be acting into the plane of the paper. So plus I4 and plus I4. So this is the way to get the net current, which is passing through the closed loop. Once you know the net current value, so according to the Ampere circuit law, line integral of B bar dot DL bar is equal to mu naught into, in the place of I net, in the place of the I net, what value we have to write? I1 minus I2 plus I3, sorry, minus I3 plus I4 and plus I5, plus I5. So this is about simply Ampere's circuital law. So Ampere's circuital law. So what is the statement of the Ampere's circuital law? The statement of the Ampere's circuital law states that the line integral of the magnetic field over the given closed loop, will be equal to mu naught times the net current passing through the given closed loop. Net current passing through the given closed loop. So this is about Ampere's circuital law. Now, so what is the statement of the Ampere's circuital law we wrote? Ampere's circuital law is equal to integral of B bar dot dl bar is equal to mu naught into I net. Mu naught into I net. So here we have to remember some of the points regarding the Ampere's circuital law. First point is Ampere's circuital law can be applicable to any shape of the closed loop. It's a very, very important. Ampere's circuital law should not be applicable, not only applicable for the closed circular loop. It is applicable to any shape of the closed loop. So the first point is Ampere's law will be applicable to any shape of the closed loop. Any shape of the closed loop. And the second point, while you are applying the Ampere's circuital law, you wrote here integral B bar dot dl bar is equal to mu naught into I net. Mu naught into I net. What is the I net? The net current passing through the closed loop. Net current passing through the closed loop. So while you are calculating the resultant magnetic field due to the currents which are passing through the closed loop, we didn't consider Ampere's circuital law should not be applicable for the currents which are present outside the closed loop. So Ampere's circuital law can be applicable for which type of currents only? The currents which are present within the closed loop only. For such type of currents only Ampere's circuital law will be applicable. If any one of the current will be present outside of the closed loop, we need not to be consider those currents which are present outside of the loop. Next, and the third point is Ampere's circuital law will be applicable for steady currents only. Ampere's circuital law will be applicable for which type of currents? Steady current. Steady current means what? The magnitude of the current does not be changes. The magnitude of the current does not be varies with respect to the time. Such a type of currents we are calling as a what? Steady current. So while you are applying the Ampere's circuital law, it should be applicable. For which type of currents? Steady currents only. Next, fourth point is this Ampere's circuital law is similar to Gauss law. The Ampere's circuital law will be similar to Gauss law in electrostatics. These are the 4 points we have to remember regarding the Ampere's circuital law. What is the first point? Ampere's circuital law can be applicable for any shape of the closed loop. Suppose I consider the circle. For the circle closed loop, we can apply the Ampere's circuital law. If you took a rectangle, it is also closed loop. You have to apply the Ampere's circuital law. If you consider the square, if you consider the triangle, whatever the closed loop you consider, for that given closed loop, we will apply Ampere's circuital law. So this is about Ampere's circuital law. And the next topic is the application of Ampere's circuital law. The application of what? Ampere's circuital law. So we have to calculate the magnetic field intensity, nearby a long straight current carrying wire. So what is our application here? We have to calculate the magnetic field intensity which is produced by a long straight current carrying conducting wire. So here I consider a very long straight current carrying conducting wire AB. I consider what? A very long straight current carrying conducting wire AB, through which I amount of current will be flowing. So according to the previously Oersted principle, whenever the current is flowing through the given current carrying conductor, around the current carrying conductor, magnetic field will be produced. Now our application is what? Ampere's law application, Ampere's circuital law application. If you want to apply the Ampere's circuital law, you must need a closed loop. So that around the given current carrying conductor, I just imagine a circular loop is imagined. So it is acting as a closed loop. So if you want to apply the Ampere's law, you must need a closed loop, so that for the given straight current carrying conductor, we assume a closed loop around the current carrying conductor. Next, what is the statement of the Ampere's circuital law? Ampere's circuital law statement is what? Line integral B bar dot dl bar is equal to mu naught into I net. If you look at the diagram, only one current will be passing through the closed loop. So that here I net value becomes to be I only. Because in this closed loop, how many current carrying conductors are placed? Only one current carrying conductor will be placed. So the magnitude of the current will be given by I net is equal to what? I only. Now, if you want to apply the Ampere's law, two values we have to need. One is B bar, another one is what? DL bar. So whatever the loop you consider at a given point, you consider a small element DL bar. You consider what? A small element DL bar. That only we told. While we are applying the Ampere's circuital law over the periphery of the closed loop, first you have to consider a small element DL bar. Once you consider the DL bar, at that point, what we have to draw? A tangent we have to draw. A tangent. Whatever the tangent you drawn at the location of the DL bar, that tangent is nothing but indicating the resultant magnetic field by the currents which are present inside the closed loop. So that B bar comma DL bar will be acting along the same direction. If you look at the diagram, DL bar comma B bar will be acting along the same direction. Now, coming to the equation, integral B bar dot DL bar can be written as B dl cos theta. The right side value is equal to what? Mu naught into I. But if you consider the circular loop, at any one of the point on the periphery of the circular loop, the magnitude of the field intensity will be remains constant. So B will be written outside, and integral dl theta value is equal to 0, cos 0 is equal to mu naught I. So what is the value of cos 0 here? Cos 0 is equal to 1. So B into integral dl is equal to mu naught I. Integral dl is equal to what? Mu naught I. What is the dl? A small elemental length. So integral dl means the total length of the closed loop. Integral dl means what? Total length of the closed loop. The total length of the closed loop is equal to 2 pi r. Total length of the closed loop is equal to what? 2 pi r. Why 2 pi r? Here the closed loop will be assumed in the form of a circular shape. The closed loop will be assumed in the form of a circular loop. So that integral dl value is equal to what? Mu naught. Integral dl value is equal to what? 2 pi r. So therefore, b into 2 pi r is equal to mu naught into I. b into 2 pi r is equal to what? Mu naught into I. Therefore, the magnetic field intensity equation will be given by mu naught I by 2 pi r. Mu naught I by 2 pi r. So this is the expression for magnetic field intensity which is produced by the a long straight current carrying conducting wire. So this is the important application of the Ampere's circuital law. Thank you.